Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and today we're going to go over round 2 of the next gen console wars. Let's get started. Alright, to begin with, I said I'd give them until July 15th. Nothing really happened between the last event and July 15th, so I gave them until the Xbox event because, I don't know, it's just been a boring round, so here we are. Of course, we're going to be talking about the Xbox event that happened yesterday, the Xbox Series X event that happened yesterday, and we're going to be going over a few other things that happened along the way. Sony's been pretty quiet since their last event, so that's all right. They handily won the first round. It was so one-sided that they can coast in round 2 and still be okay, as we will find out. A few other things have happened. Ghost of Tsushima has launched. Last of Us 2 has launched. So a couple of things in Sony's camp have been going, you know, good. Last of Us is up to you if it wants to be good. Microsoft, on the other hand, has been coming out bit by bit, saying a few things here and there, talking about their xCloud and stuff like that, Game Pass, other things along that nature. But none of that really matters because what really happened here is the Xbox event that happened yesterday. This is roughly, if you're not counting the pre-show, roughly an hour of video games from the Xbox studios and a few third parties as well. And we start off at the beginning with a game a lot of us have been excited for because a lot of us have been burned by the series in the last couple of entries, and that is Halo Infinite. Let's just go ahead and say a much better start than Sony's event where they started with GTA 5. All right, let's just be clear about that. So Halo Infinite begins and we get this little demo. I got a few problems with this demo, and that's not counting the graphics or anything like that. I know people are hating on the graphics, but whatever. Gameplay over graphics is my opinion, but from what they showed when they originally showed Halo Infinite, this kind of massive open area, I don't want to say open world, open area, had these like dinosaur creatures you were going in through these little mini Halo rings and flares with your Spartans and stuff like that. Now instead what we get is generic Halo shooter. They open the map and it shows that it's like a little open area that you can go and explore, but it looked just like more Halo, and I don't... It's a stronger start than GTA 5, but still not a good demo for the event if this game is actually open world. Still, it's coming holiday 2020, which means it is set to release on the Xbox Series X, which I've been hearing November lately for the console releases, just so we're clear. Okay, no problem. Still a lot of show to go, right? Next we get State of Decay 3. State of Decay 2 has not actually been out that long, and this is a CG trailer. And this is indicative of what we're going to be seeing through the rest of the show from these first party publishers. And that, not a good look. We did get a few CG trailers certainly at Sony, but for the most part it was at least in-game footage. And that goes a long way for people. That is them saying, hey, this game is at least been being developed for some time. The State of Decay 3 guys came out and said, hey, you know what? This is entering pre-production right now. It's like, oh, okay, great. Then why'd you show it as your second game? Whatever, what's next? Everwild. Yeah, again, this is a rare game. Nice little, I don't even know exactly what this type of game is. Some sort of co-op exploration adventure game? No idea, doesn't matter, doesn't have a release date, doesn't even have a release year. Here we go. This is where we're getting into some problems with Xbox. It's got all this technique, but it's not honed it very well. This is what we'll call that. It's throwing wildly, and that's not a good look when Sony basically, I believe they did have one game that said 2022, but at least they were willing to say 2022 when Microsoft was unwilling to even say 2021 or 2022 for a lot of these games. This is where we have a problem. They don't have dates. These consoles literally a few months away, and it didn't help that in Halo, or for Halo, the executive director of this guy, he's just a whiny little baby. He's like a coach after a fight where the fighter lost and the guy just says, yeah, it wasn't the fighters, it just wasn't the fighters' night. No, dude, you're not doing well. My dog, I gotta go see what my dog's doing, 1 second. All right, sorry about that. UPS man showed up, dog was freaking out about it, so I had to go deal with it. Anyways, where were we? Yes, these lack of release years even is not a good look for the Xbox Series X. It means that you don't have anything coming. And again, when it comes to buying consoles, buying this console that is assumingly gonna cost at least 300 bucks, probably more like 500. I need games, I need technique. That's what technique is. Games, games, games. And Sony showed it off in spades. Yes, as I said, not all of them are coming this year, but they weren't afraid to be like, hey, 2021 might get delayed, who knows, COVID. Microsoft isn't showing gameplay or dates because they're not entirely sure, which leads me to believe 2022 for a lot of these minimum. Not a good look, except for Fable. We'll get into that in a minute though. So anyways, they keep showing all these games, and I'm willing to bet that for most of us, there was one game in that series or in this montage that you were like, oh, cool. But outside of that, it's Halo, Forza, Fable. They still don't have, this has been Microsoft's problem since the original Xbox. Normally Gears would be in there, but obviously they just released Gears, so that doesn't count. They don't have strong enough IP, and Xbox One was sort of meant to be, at least towards the end half of its life cycle, was meant to be sort of this rebuilding, this restructuring of the video games department. They bought all these studios, all that stuff, got a bunch of IP and all that, and still none of that's really all that good. So this restructuring was supposed to occur, which we expected to see quite a bit of here. We did see some of it, to be fair, still with no release dates. Video game development takes time, takes a long time. We know that, we've been in this industry for however long, but still, to have some of these things coming in pre-production at this point, not a good look. So then we move on to sort of this third-party montage, and this is where it really started going downhill for me. They showed Destiny 2. We could equate this to GTA 5, I guess, maybe, but not really, because GTA 5 is freaking huge. Destiny 2 wishes it's as big as GTA 5, but it sort of started going downhill from here. There was a bunch of other third-party showcases. There was like a Vermintide Space Marine game. It wasn't Vermintide, but it was Space Marines. Stalker 2, actually really excited. That's my one. So outside of Halo and all them, that Stalker 2 is my thing. Played the old Stalker, didn't play Call of Perperiat or whatever it's called, but very excited for Stalker 2. And then Remedy shows this Crossfire X campaign shooter, like this first-person shooter, and I'm just like, what? They go from Control, which is this weird sci-fi X-Files type game, to Crossfire X, which is generic first-person shooter. Again, Microsoft's problem is that they got too many freaking shooters. So, not a good look. Wraps up with Fable, which this one's weird because it was CG. But from what I've been told, it's actually releasing next year. Now, obviously due to COVID, that could be pushed. But again, no release date, no release year on it for most of the stuff. Microsoft comes out, despite the fact that they were losing handily in the first round. Sony actually just kind of rested on their laurels at this point, and that's a sign of a champion in my mind. They went a little hard in the first round, so they're gonna go ahead and recover, take some breaths and take it in. Microsoft showing up to this fight not knowing it's a championship fight. Here's the thing about Microsoft. They refuse to acknowledge that they are in a console war, and it's easy to not acknowledge you're in a console war when you're in third place consistently. Yeah, that's right. Nintendo's not even in the race. This is a different weight division, and they're still better than you. And until they acknowledge this, they're not gonna be even championship material, but we got no other contender, so here we are. So what's the deal? Points-wise, yeah, Microsoft wins because they had an event. Not nearly as handily as Sony, and that's what I'm saying. Sony didn't even have to really come out that hard. They just rested on their defense and recovered, and still, everyone is comparing this event to the Sony event, and of course, Sony event looks way better. There's still some ways they could have won, but all these CG trailers, all these lack of release dates, they didn't really talk about Game Pass. I think Game Pass is a pretty big incentive to getting this new console, is that you're going to get all these games for $10 a month, at least all the first party games, but they didn't even really mention it, so I don't know. It was just tone deaf, I guess is the best way to describe it, and it wasn't a clean round. I would say there was a couple of good hits from Sony, even though they didn't really fight back. That's just how bad of a round. It's when you have a game plan and your game plan's not working, but you stick to the game plan, that's what's going on right now. Because let's reverse to May, when they did the third-party event, and they were like, gameplay is gonna be there, and what did they do? They showed a little bit of gameplay, yes, but mostly it was CG. What did we wreck them for? Because they showed a bunch of fucking CG. And that's what they did again, because they just, I don't know who's in charge of these things. I don't know who looked at this event and was like, oh yeah, that'll be all right. That compares to the Sony event. No, I'm honestly at a point where I don't think they can compete with Sony anymore. Well, you could argue that they never have been able to. But my point is, I don't think they have the talent or the developers necessary to actually do this. So again, we're at round 2. So Microsoft's gonna win round 2 because Sony just kind of rested, but it was only a 9-10 round at the best. And we'll do a 3rd round, but really, I don't think, I mean, Microsoft's already out of the fight, it feels like. That's just how bad it is. It's not a good look. Let me look at my book real quick. Yep, still the generic Xbox lineup. That's pretty much what's going on here. And you could, well, Sony's got a lot of sequels too. Yes, but that's a lot of their new IP from previous, literally the last generation coming up. And it's like, oh, they're bringing Fable back. Yeah, they killed Fable, okay? Let's not get too excited. Don't forget that they already killed Fable once, all right? Ooh, wow, they're bringing it back from the dead. Yeah, they killed it. So don't give them too much props for this. This is their fault for wanting to do stupid shit. So yeah, it wasn't a good round. Boy, they really are gonna need that lower price for people to be considering Xbox. I feel like a lot of these games, especially that Halo game, like yes, it is going to run on Xbox One, but it didn't show that it didn't even look like it was running on the Series X. That's the problem. And it was supposed to be a Series X showcase. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know. It's better when everyone's competing in an actual like high level, but Microsoft simply can't do it at the minute. It looks like the Series X is just going to be another rebuilding year until they find a couple more franchises. It's not like Sony's going to sit there and not do anything. So I don't know if Xbox is ever actually going to catch up. Yes, they will win round 2 because of technicality of Sony not doing anything, but not enough to convince me to buy an Xbox Series X. Probably not enough to convince you to buy a Series X. Here's the other thing. I can play a lot of this on PC. So I'm just going to play it on PC. I don't know. Anyways, that'll do it. Not as much hype around this round because quite frankly, it was a disappointing round. These do happen in fights, and every time I get excited for Microsoft, they seem to just not do good. So that's where we're at with it. Anyways, you can tell I'm a little burnt out by the whole thing. I took 24 hours to digest it all, trying to think of some positives about it. And it's just, it wasn't a positive performance overall at all. It was just, I don't even know, generic. I guess the generic Xbox is all it was, and that's not enough anymore. All right, let me know what you thought about the event. Let me know if it convinced you one way or another, if any of these games are interesting to you. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm at this point, unless Microsoft comes out and says, hey, our best of console's $200, I don't see how they can win this. So anyways, let me know what you thought about it all. You know how it goes by now. If you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. It is very freaking hot. I'm gonna go for a swim. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.